The Life Coach for World Leaders.
For world leaders.
There it is, baby. Come on.
Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of the Expertise Transformation Podcast, where I talk to people that we have that have engaged with through the program, and we talk about how their expertise is transformed and ascended to a different level and ascended to a different target audience. And that whole process is what we talk about in this particular podcast. My first guest today is Keyen Lage. Keyen is a mindset coach for world leaders. And I've had the opportunity to get to know Keyen over the past 6 to 7 months. And having gone through his process, his coaching process, and also working with him on his brand and the ascension of his brand and the new targeting of his audience, has been really fun to be able to get to know Keyen on a different level. So I'm excited to talk to him about his work today. So Keyen, welcome to the first piece of the podcast. I'll just ask you to introduce yourself and talk about your background and talk about what it is that you do and what your whole focus is. So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Shelby. Thank you so much for the intro. And I am excited to be the first ever guest on your podcast. So I am also honored with that as well. But to answer your question, my name is Keyen Lage, and I am the life coach for world leaders. And I've been doing coaching for a little under 4 years now. And I'm in a space where I'm able to move about freely throughout the world as I'd like to, which is how I wanted to create my life to be. And I'm able to work with a lot of incredible people, working with people in over 6 countries one-on-one now. So I want to see how much I can expand my reach around the world, and just having a great time doing it. I have a lot of fun with the coaching that I do. And I'm really excited to continue to see where my coaching takes me, literally as far as my location, but also just with my life. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy to share how my experience working with you has impacted myself, not just personally, but also within my business. So thank you, Shelby, for having me here.
Of course. Thank you for being on. It's been such a fun journey over the past few months to see the transformation happen and to experience a transformation myself. So I feel like I had the opportunity to experience both sides of that. What you do is very, very powerful, and how you conduct the coaching is also very powerful. I feel like it is an open space where I completely trust the other side of it, of what's happening, and I completely trust the direction. I was just wondering if you could you said you've been in the coaching space for about 4 years. I know there's a lot of background before that, but can you give the audience kind of a 360-degree view of what brought you into coaching and what inspired you to get into coaching? And then we'll talk about this transformation over the past 6 months.
Yeah, certainly. I had the opportunity to play in the NFL, so that was my lifelong dream to do that. And I ended up having an injury to where I could never play again. And after that, I was a finance major in college and thought I wanted to take the route of being a financial analyst. But quickly after being home for about 2 days and having that set in that could be my reality, I quickly was like, absolutely not. And decided that it was not what I wanted to do. And I wanted to do something to where I had the freedom to go about as I pleased, and to be able to use my gift of helping people make their dreams happen. So I found coaching, and I initially started as a personal trainer, moved into more of the internal health side of things, started working with people on their ability to be able to heal their internal bodies. And then after that, I moved more into the mental emotional space for a lot of the clients that I had that I was dealing with their food, internal health side of things. And then I pivoted and transitioned into working with high achievers and people that are making a lot of ruckus in the world, making a lot of money and creating a lot of impact. So it's been a really interesting process for me throughout the last 4 years, but it's been so cool and rewarding to be able to be at the place that I feel like I'm at now, which is a place of, having freedom to go about as I please, setting my own schedule, doing really what I want when I want to do it, and also make a huge impact on people that are impacting a lot of other people. I really couldn't ask for anything better than this. So, yeah.
So you've been in the coaching space for a while, and you've coached in multiple different realms. You clearly have the communication skills, the psychological skills to engage with people and to bring them, to help them trust you and to help you walk through a process on multiple different levels with multiple different things. I think that's such a unique quality, and it's a quality that's essential for coaches, because you need to develop that sense of trust. What inspired you to transition from kind of the physical health coaching to more of the mindset coaching?
Yeah, that's a great question. Really, I've always just taught what I've been really inspired to learn more about myself. And as I felt like I've maybe not necessarily mastered, but gotten really, really good at one sector of things, like, mastering the physical body as I did with the NFL, and moving more towards the internal health side of things. I feel like I got a really good grasp on that. Then moving into more of the mental emotional space for myself and working through a lot of deeper rooted mental and emotional blockages that I had. It's really just been me consistently doing and showing other people what I've been inspired to do and learn for myself. And as I continue to learn more about life and how it works and functions, I'm sure that will continue to evolve. So it's really just always been me teaching other people what I've been really inspired to do.
And from the receiver of the coaching, I feel that when we're in the coaching session, there's that empathetic connection that is so key, because you may have not been through a similar experience that I have, but targeting those higher achievers and targeting that certain targeting work that we did, you have that connection with people. And I think that is admirable, but it's also enables this emotional connection that is super powerful. And it was very powerful for me to go through that process. And I really appreciate that. I think that came out in the interview that I did with you. Yeah. So we met about 6 months. Yeah, it's been super powerful. We met about 6 months ago. We're September, I think, 6 months ago or so. When we met, I think, in a stage of transition for me and for you, even though we might not have understood that we were in that transitional phase. I have seen you walk through a transformation over the past 6 months. Can you talk about how your coaching practice has shifted or changed, or some sort of transformation that you've discovered in the past 6 months?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a driver by nature. I'm jump off the cliff. I'm gonna sprout my wings as I jump down. And what's always really, really important for me is to be able to stop, slow down, and have someone else that can really bring out the details of what I need to know for me. Because sometimes I can definitely get a little too far ahead of myself, and now it's allowed me to do and create a lot of incredible things, but probably create a little more stress that I probably don't like to acknowledge a lot than I have to, because I am such a driver. And so that's why it's important for me to have someone in my life that's able to slow me down and help me get really clear on the details without having just to barge forward first. And so that's one of the big things for me when I was working with you, Shelby, just like this. I was driving, but there was a lot of pieces that I didn't have clarity. Maybe I thought I had more clarity on than I actually otherwise did. And gaining the clarity on some of those minute details for what I want in my coaching business and how I want to run it, I think was really, really powerful and saved me a lot of potential stress. I even remember there was one call that we had where I even broke into tears a little bit as I was processing through a little bit of some a couple stories that I'd been through in my life, and that was a huge breakthrough moment for me. So it wasn't just me getting more clear about my business, but also simultaneously helping me process through some emotional stuff that I do for people. Like, so I got a little bit of my own medicine in that context with you, with working through some of my emotional things that I didn't even know were there. So it was incredible for me to get more clear about my vision for what I want for myself, my business, but also very good for me emotionally, just to be able to process through and the good and the bad too. So like I said, being a driver, sometimes I don't always look back and see some of and all of the good. So I think for both, getting more clear about my vision, what I want, but also be able to see all the great things also that I feel like I've done with my life.
It's so important to have that clarity, and I too believe that having someone on the other side to ask you those questions and to dig a little bit deeper, that is a extremely powerful position to be in. Or it's extremely vulnerable. I mean, I've been on tears on a call with you too. So it's like there's a vulnerability to it, but then it's those key pieces that we need to work through to really become clear on what it is we do and what we want to do. And I think those are some key things moving forward.
Yeah, and I also think you do such a great job with creating a space that it's almost like this like motherly nurturing space where you have this balance of the masculine and the feminine, to where I felt safe to be able to go in and process through some of the things that came up. And I don't say like be safe in the terms of like, being scared or not to talk. Like I can express a lot in front of a lot of people, but just in regard to my mind's capacity to let go of any kind of control and to really just give myself permission to go deep, 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 deep into that place. So I really appreciated that, was that element of you being able to hold that space to be able to create the relaxation within me to go deeper into my own thoughts and emotions.
What can you talk a little bit more about what that experience was? Was the experience of working with me on that branding level?
Yeah, it was. I was always excited for our call because I never knew what was going to come up. Like, what am I going to discover this week about myself that I'm going to get more clear on? So, I would consider myself somebody that's very self-aware and very I think I mean, it's kind of the same mundane, but I know myself, I would say, very, very well. But there's still a lot of really, really awesome parts of myself that wasn't aware of, simply because it was, my own blind spots that you were able to show me. So I think for me, being able to come and experience that space of me not knowing what was going to come up, and knowing that whatever does come up, I'm going to learn more about myself and how I want to put myself out there, was really exciting for me. Also, it didn't feel like work, which is also very important to me. I'm very busy in regard to doing things, or I should say efficient in how I choose to spend my time. And if I'm on a coaching call, I've had quite a few coaches, and it's important for me that it's not like me having to work hard to get answers out of me, right? I don't feel like it's right. I think it's the job of the coach to be able to do a lot of that, and I felt like you did such a good job that I never felt like I had to like try or had to like come up with a bunch of like stuff to remember before I got on the call. I felt like I could just show up, and I felt like you're going to guide and direct the call in the way that it needed to go for us to be able to get the clarity that I needed to be able to find that missing puzzle piece for whatever element of my brand that I wasn't even probably aware of that I was missing. So that's also another thing, is there's pieces that I didn't even know that I was missing in the puzzle until, you and I dove in and started to process through some of it.
That's such a thank you for saying that too. That was really humbling. Thank you. But it's that I think that's such a key part to think about is our brand. And we think of the word brand, and brand sounds like something so stoic and like it's there and you work on it and there you have a certain brand. But it's important to remember that the brand's always evolving. And the brand not only has to do, there's such a key piece of like the brand personality that with you, I feel that your brand is almost a reflection of your personal journey, and you help people walk through that journey. I think that's so powerful because you can provide that other empathetic side to it too. But as far as the change, the other key piece about brand is like who you're targeting. Did our work together, did you find some more clarity in that and the audience that you wanted to reach?
Yeah, I was already pretty set on working with high achievers or people that are operating at a really high level. Uh, but I think the part for me that was so valuable with deciphering the demographic was men versus women. That was like a big one for me, in that I do love, after a couple months with working with men, just because guys are so damn stubborn. I'm pretty damn stubborn myself, and so I did find that working with women in the high achieving realm is much more up my alley in this season of life. So that was really, really big for me to be able to have that clarity surrounding that. So I would say that's probably the biggest part with it. But honestly, like I was pretty, I had a pretty good idea. I think the most benefit for me was really coming from the place of just getting more clear on my direction and how I want to be seen. I think that's the biggest thing. So I was already pretty certain about the relative demographic. Men versus women was a little changed, but it was really just like the clarity I was able to have in moving forward. Like normally I would be barging through a forest, and I'd be like dodging all of the brush and the trees and the weeds and just pushing through, and I might come out, I have like scrapes on my face and hands all beat up from like running through the forest and all that kind of stuff. But it was more so just me running through, and it was just like this path being cleared out to where I didn't have to like barge my way through the forest and break through all the brush, but more so just like a much easier path for me. So just like paving things out to be able to deliver my message to the audience that I had already been pretty certain about.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So much synergy and everything that you talk about and what I experienced going through the process too with you. And it just is so helpful to have that other piece there, and to have that other, it's not even an accountability partner, it's a person that you trust to not walk you through the process, but to guide, I guess, and to ask those critical questions that we don't often ask ourselves. I think that's a really key thing. So
Yeah, definitely. And like I don't like I'm already really self-driven. Like I don't really like accountability partners. It actually just annoys me. Having somebody that would be like on me to get like get things done. So I guess I with you was great because I didn't feel that like pushing to get it done, but I just felt like we just got so much done in each call. Like I felt so good after each call with how deep that we went, that I felt like there wasn't really even a whole lot that outside of that I felt like I needed to do as far as the pace that we were going. So I felt like the calls were just so valuable for me.
does one stick out in your mind?
Yeah, it's definitely the one when I referred to earlier with the when I got really emotional. I remember it was the story about me when I had the option. I started my true freshman year in college and my true sophomore year, and I had the option to transfer to a different school. And because of some feelings that I had of feeling like I had to, I owed something to the people that I was playing with, or I owed something to the fans, or something. I didn't really give myself permission to leave when I should have and gone to a bigger school. And I processed a lot of that grief on that call of just kind of the sadness of the neglect that I had in myself in putting how I thought other people would feel and how they're doing over myself and what I wanted. So that was so powerful for me to go in and like process some of that. And I definitely had a big breakthrough with that experience as well.
I remember that call for sure. Yeah. Very powerful. Very powerful. What any I guess I'll ask the question, what would you say about somebody else that's thinking about working with me? you know that I work with people to help ascend their brand and to target different audiences and to kind of dig into their brand personality. But I also help people with their program production and all that. So what would you say? What would you say to someone that would want, that were thinking about working with me?
Well, the first thing that comes up is just like, you can trust Shelby. You know, I feel like in today's day and age, there's a lot of shit coaches and just a lot of people that pretend to be coaches that are just marketers. And I felt like through the whole process, even the first, call that we had, just you and I meeting, that I felt like I could trust you. And I think that's at least, how I think, is that in today's day and age that there's so many people that are entering the space that it's very difficult to be able to decipher, sift through the quality versus the crap. And I've always felt like I could trust you a lot to deliver what exactly it is that you're going to say that you're going to deliver. And that's probably the most important part for me, because I've had coaches that haven't done that. And I know you've had a couple experiences that haven't been the most desirable for you either. So, I think many people that have had coaches have had those experiences where there isn't the best outcome. And with Shelby, it's just like, what you see is what you get. And you'll see that through her coaching, that she's very much just her. And literally what you see is what you're going to get, right? She's going to show up as her. She's going to deliver what she says she's going to deliver. And if you have a problem with it, she's also open to you expressing that as well, right? So she's open to receiving, I don't want to say criticism, but like she's open to, she doesn't lead as a tyrant. She's very strong and certain, but it's not like she's not open to also being receptive and open to you being different than everybody else, right? It's not like you need to fit into my program or you're wrong. It's like, okay, you have your general framework and structure for your program, and you fit me into it in a way that I could best have the most optimal outcome. It wasn't like you tried to force me into a little hole and say, hey, this is how it needs to be. This is how you need to be. You're very open to change and making it work for what was best for me. So the genuineness, the openness to make things work for the client or for me, and the ability for you just to create a space that makes it easy to be open and express for us to get what it is that we need out of the conversation. I would say it was an awesome experience that I would recommend to anybody.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That means a lot. And you and I have talked about this multiple times over, how it's, we talk about being genuine and being authentic and being trusted. And this is not an easy space to be in and have all that trust. And I appreciate you saying that. And I also, just on as a side note, and I told you this in the interview last week or 2 weeks ago, but I felt the same with you, that it was this genuine connection, a genuine desire to improve and to work through that muck, work through those challenges, and just be there to support. And I very much appreciate that with you too. So the trust is mutual. I think that's why I think that's one of the reasons that it clicked right away. So very powerful experience for me. So Keyen, are there any last thoughts before we wrap things up, so I can let you get to the rest of your day, about working with me or the transformation that you've experienced, or where you even see yourself? Those are all interesting things to
That is a lot. If you do it right, you only have to do it once. And I think with Shelby, you can do it once and do it right. Now, I know somebody listening to this might be a little scarred. I have been scarred from some past experiences, as I referred to earlier. But it's not going to be something where you got to have to continually redo it and go over it. It's like, it's going to be done right. So that's what I have to say about that. And for me, I'm just here, and we'll see where I go in in the future. And I'm excited about it. There's gonna be some massive things that I'm really excited about that are in the works. But for now, I'm just feeling really good with where I am.
That's so great. I see huge things coming for you, Keyen. There's so many amazing things that you do, and the way that you can interact with people is huge. And I was excited to be a part of that transformation, and it was really fun to be sitting on the sidelines while that was happening, but mutually transitioning in my own business during that process. And that was a really important piece for me. Very powerful. So I will be sure to put your website up. Your website looks incredible, by the way. It's been redone, and make sure that people can contact you if they so desire. And I didn't know about life coach, mindset coach, high performance coaching. I didn't know about that when we first met, but my mind has been significantly changed, and it's a very powerful experience that I would recommend to people if they're having challenges with their success and managing things. And it's a very positive experience. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate this interview. So
Not always positive in the moment, but definitely ends up being positive
right,
afterward.
right. There have
So
been
thank you.
yes, maybe it wasn't your calls that I actually cursed at you, but it was probably one of my calls that I did. But I'm glad we're still friends at that point. So,
Yeah. Your process is much more smooth.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I look forward to continuing to work with you. And I appreciate your time. So, thank you for being the first podcast guest on the Expert Transformation Podcast. I appreciate it. So,
You are absolutely welcome, Shelby. Thanks for having me on.
thank you. I'm gonna stop recording.